with Barton Scott here today, talking about minerals and why they are so important. We always look at vitamins and give vitamins all the attention, but minerals is what Barton is all about. He's the mineral man. We're going to pick his brain, figure out why minerals are so important. He is from this company called Upgraded Formulas, and we'll talk all about that here today. So coming in, guys, make yourselves at home. As always, if you enjoy these interviews, these are upcoming episodes of one of my podcasts. I like to come on Instagram Live, give you guys first dibs on brand new interviews. I try to interview people from a wide variety of perspectives and talk about all kinds of things. And so today's interview guest, Barton Scott, is all about the minerals. And in fact, I literally just got a package in the mail from him. Literally just came in the mail today. It's got all of his little mineral products and things. That way you'll be able to see exactly what he's all about. But come on in, make yourselves at home. I will remind you that if you like these interviews, thank you for watching, by the way. But there's a little badge thing down there if you want to support continuing these here on Instagram Live. I do enjoy the format of interviewing people here on Instagram and then airing it on my podcast a couple weeks later. That seems to work out really well. People like the engagement. And I like to see, real-time comments. My dream has always been, by the way, to host a nationally syndicated radio show where I get to interview people and have conversations, bring on callers. That's always been kind of a dream of mine. I think I could easily handle a show like that. Been doing this a million years. So yeah, we're just waiting on Barton to get here. Barton Scott is his name. And in the meantime, go check him out. Ask Barton is his username on Instagram, AskBarton. And just as soon as he arrives, I did tell him 1 p.m. Eastern, so we are a little bit short of that. I like to come on a little bit early, plus I have my recording of the One Step Deeper podcast. Just as soon as this is over, I'll be popping over to record with Brittany. So never a dull moment in Jimmy Moore's world when it comes to interviewing. But yes, if you like these interviews here on Instagram, I do want to keep doing them this way. It's easier for me to do them on Skype. It's a little harder to do it in this format, but I do like the engagement that I get. So it's a good little trade-off. The Instagram puts the boxes up and down. Like you can see my face at the top and the guest's face below. On Skype, it puts us side by side. So if you watch the One Step Deeper podcast, you know what I'm talking about. Brittany and I are side by side. Looks a little better visually. And then when you're watching it on IGTV or on YouTube, you can turn your phone sideways. And So guys, we're just waiting on Barton Scott. Hello, Gabby. Thanks for being here. We're just waiting on Barton to get here to get this show on the road. I did tell him 1 p.m. I hope he remembered Eastern time, 1 p.m. But I did tag him yesterday in a story where I said, I'm going to be interviewing him at 1 p.m. and it just turned 1 p.m. So, never a dull moment, is it? So while we're waiting on him, I will let you guys know, if you didn't watch my morning walk today, go watch the video. I do those on Instagram Live as the sun is coming up. So currently that's around 7:45 or so. Go check me out. All right, I see Barton just got here. We're going to pull him up on the stage for a great... So, I met this guy recently at the Biohacking Congress, and he's like, hey, I'm Barton Scott. Here's a bottle of magnesium. And I was like, hi.
Hey.
What's up, my brother?
Hey, having a great day here in Austin. How are you?
Austin, Texas. That's where you hail from, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
Yeah, you can see downtown behind me. Yeah.
See that. Yeah, I've walked all over downtown Austin between Paleo FX and KETO Con. I've been all over downtown. I've gotten parking tickets in downtown Austin, Texas.
Paleo FX is right behind me, actually, like a quarter of a mile, maybe. Yeah.
Yes. All right, let's get this show on the road. Guys, that right there is Barton Scott. You definitely want to go check him out over on Instagram. Ask Barton. He makes it very easy to find him. He's got the whole James Bond, his photo. It was funny because I said, send me like a headshot photo, and I want to show people what you sent me, because it's like, all right, Mr. All right. Got the vibe going on. I'm
That's right.
Just jealous. have the GQ look like you do, brother.
Thank you. I have a
But
really talented photographer friend.
yes,
So.
yes. So Barton is an expert about minerals. I've talked to a lot of people, Barton, over the years about vitamins, obviously, and we always hear
Yeah.
about vitamin supplements and blah, 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 but not many people put the focus on minerals. So I'm really happy to have you here today. Is there any way you could stabilize your phone? Because that moving is going to make me dizzy.
Yeah. Just trying to find a really good angle for you. Here, let me try this maybe.
The angle where the phone isn't moving is the best angle. There you go. That's a good angle.
Cool.
As long as
All
you
right.
don't see fingers up your nose, we're good, brother. It's all good. Um, so he's from a company guys called Upgraded Formulas. And I was telling people before we came on the air, I actually just got a package in the mail from you guys. So thank you. I guess you knew in anticipation of me interviewing you today that you wanted a few of your products on the screen. I don't mind showing them. This is the one you gave me at the Biohacking Congress. I've been taking that. My sleep's pretty good already, but you like, take this, dude. It's going to improve your deep sleep. So I'm taking it, building up the everything. Got the potassium, on and on and on. The most intriguing one was the peak thyroid, which I assume has iodine and some other kind of thyroid modulators in there. We'll get into all that here in just a minute. But let's start with you, man. I didn't know who you were when you came up to me, but you seem to know your stuff. How did you get into kind of being interested in minerals of all things? What's your story?
Really interesting sort of path to that, which was I had to, is a short answer. I was always interested in nutrition. And I did some things that caused me to have to be even more interested. So I developed some deficiencies because I wrestled and competed at a pretty high level in that sport, played football, and instead of doing that in college, I ended up choosing an equally daunting sort of mental pursuit, which was chemical engineering. And I say all that because these are the reasons why it led me to having such crazy mineral deficiencies and therefore accumulating heavy metals, which I think a lot don't understand. A lot of people I've talked to don't understand that the more deficiencies you have with minerals specifically, the easier it is for you to attract heavy metals into the body and keep them there, unfortunately. And then in the worst case scenario, they can become part of your bones, and I mean, brittle bones in life. So if there's never a better chance, just start today and start remineralizing your body, because the soil is depleted. You're not absorbing things well enough. You're probably not eating enough of the right minerals. There's a lot of things we can get into for sure. So.
Yeah, you're a sitting duck with the heavy metals. I've known people that had like cadmium and all these really dastardly things that then you need a chelator, like chelation therapy, EDTA, and those kinds of things to help remove that. But it doesn't just remove the heavy metals, it then strips you of minerals as well, so that a lot of the good ones, if they're doing the IV version of chelation, they'll chelate the heavy metals, but then simultaneously re-inject you with vitamins and minerals to kind of, I guess, replenish what gets stripped. So there's always a consequence. And so thank you for dropping that story about how you got into this. How did you connect with Upgraded Formulas? Is that associated with Dave Asprey in any way?
No, so that's the company that I started in 2016 after doing 3.5 years of research in minerals, in the absorption of minerals, and hair analysis. So testing your hair and seeing what you're low in. And
I don't have much.
Well, luckily we can test hair from underarm, chest, pubic. We've had people send in beard. I know. So there's quite a few options there.
Yeah.
I really like this, Jimmy, because it's so cost effective and it's so valuable. Although it is by far the most complicated test to understand, which is why I used to do all the consultations myself. I've trained a team of nutritionists. We have 5 nutritionists right now that do consultations for us, and we'll be adding another couple soon. And they're there to sort of be your shepherd and shaman to get you through the valuable tests you did and actually help you understand what you're low in, and not just work on supplements to fix it, but also to eat more and less of certain foods for a certain period of time until you can rebalance those levels. So, yeah.
Oh, dude, that hair mineral analysis test. If you've never had that run, go do it. Like it's telling. Like you don't even realize, because sometimes mineral deficiencies don't manifest as physical symptoms immediately. You could be deficient in something, and of course the body has a very sophisticated homeostasis system that if you're low in one, it's going to try to manufacture it from other places. Now, when it does that, there's a cost to your health, especially if it has to pull minerals from your bones, which then make your bones more susceptible. There's so many down regulation problems of having your body try to find what it needs when it would be as simple as supplementing or eating proper foods to have those minerals.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. There's so many deficiencies like boron, iodine, manganese, molybdenum. All of these things play a big part in brain function and metabolism. So there's no wonder why with all the input and that's required of us on a daily basis, that we're not like mentally sharp the way we
Yeah.
would.
So Barton, why is there such an emphasis on vitamins, which the last time I checked, vitamins is kind of short for vital minerals, but we don't really put the minerals in with vitamins. Vitamins kind of get all the big attention, A, D, E, K being the fat soluble vitamins, and then the water soluble vitamins, and you need this for this and this for that. But we don't really hear a lot about molybdenum and boron and all the ones that you were just mentioning. Why?
I I I don't have a good answer for that, because they're way more in terms of which are more important. It's not even close, because here's the thing. So I did a really long 11-day water and mineral fast to heal an injury about almost exactly a year ago. And I didn't take any vitamins throughout the whole thing, but I did take minerals based on my hair analysis results and based on knowing what minerals my glands that produce energy, like thyroid and adrenals, need. So I was doing that throughout each day, and I was able to go to the gym. I was able to move around, walk, get a lot done, clear mental function, as you know, clearer and clearer and clearer as I went on. And I mean, the only vitamins really were from sunlight, walking outside, taking the shirt off, getting some sun, and then having all the minerals. So minerals activate all the enzyme pathways in the body. So we can take in as many vitamins as we want, but if we don't activate those enzyme pathways, those enzymatic pathways with minerals, we're not really doing ourselves much good. So boron, for example, is needed to activate vitamin D. I don't know. I don't know that I've heard anyone say that during all of quarantine.
I've heard that. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's and what else? Like magnesium is needed to keep calcium from over absorbing when you're taking, especially when you're taking high dose vitamin D. But vitamin D causes calcium to absorb. That calcium, if there's too much of it, which often there is in relationship to magnesium,
Yes.
because it's all about the ratios. It's not just, oh, well, Jimmy's low in calcium, or he's low in magnesium, or he's low in. It's not that. It's never that simple. In fact, these ratios are so powerful that they govern things like thyroid function, adrenal function, blood sugar, metabolism. I can guarantee if someone doesn't have enough phosphorus, or if they have too much calcium, their metabolism will be off, and they will not burn fat the way they could. And that's just one thing that we look at on that test, and that's why I'm so passionate about that test. It's the only test we do as a company, and why it gets great results is because the world is elemental, is it not? And yet we seem to forget, right, Jimmy, that we should be testing and not simply guessing on what we should take, how much we should take, what you're missing right now currently versus 3 months from now versus months ago.
And there's the thing, like any test that you have run, it's just going to be a snapshot of that moment in time. And at that moment, were you more stressed? Was that depleting minerals? Are you in a more of a parasympathetic kind of chilled state and you're okay, but your nutrition is off? Is that stripping you of certain minerals? Or are you eating pretty well? You got low stress in your life. You've got good sleep going on. You got all these really good things. And then your mineral balance is good. Like, I just don't think people are checking in with themselves enough. Are there symptoms that they should be on the lookout before? I suppose by the time it gets symptomatic physically, you're well beyond deficient.
Yeah. So two different things. So one, if you want to name like any symptom you want to think of, I can name at least one mineral that is related to that deficiency, that if you reverse that deficiency, you get rid of the symptom in almost every case. So we could do that. The other thing I can say is that blood is definitely a day's worth of data. Hair, you get about 1,000 times more information per nutrient sample because you're looking at 6 to 8 weeks of data. If you're looking at an inch of hair, so there's a lot
for me.
Just so quarter inch, maybe a couple weeks, which is great because it's fresh data. You want that hair closest to the scalp anyway, so yeah, you could buzz it all and put it in. And anyway, but yeah, things like bloating, for example, that's magnesium deficiency. Low thyroid function, that could be zinc, copper, selenium, iodine. That could be manganese as well. That could be magnesium to a certain extent. There's a lot that we could go into, both on minerals, heavy metals, any deficiency that, like constipation is something that people complain a lot to our nutritionists about. Low energy is the thing that people can complain a lot about. Not being able to sleep. And, all of these could have magnesium in common. The problem is what I realized when I was doing that first test about 10 years ago, luckily I had a consultation with someone that he's retired now, just incredibly knowledgeable on all the intricacies and the sort of, you could say like, counterintuitiveness of the test. So sometimes you'll show high potassium, but your potassium is just elevated based on this. It's appearing elevated by conserving it.
Yes.
The chance that you're actually getting 4,700 milligrams of potassium a day is 2%. So like about 2% of people get enough every single day. Anyway, when I saw that, what I noticed that really blew my mind was I was already taking for over a year many of these minerals that I was deficient in. So I look at this test; it's a bar graph, XY axis, and a bunch of chemistry symbols like Mn for manganese, etc., Mg, magnesium. And I look at Mg and I go, how is it possible that I'm not only low but chronically low in this one, this one, this one, this one, this one? I'm clearly not absorbing it. I'm taking enough. I'm doing good brands. Like the quality is there. It's not about quality. But what I went to school for was essentially absorption, but taking a industrial process and making it better. That's what chemical engineers do.
Yes.
So chemists don't really do that. They look like end products. Nutritionists look at supplements and symptoms. Doctors trained in medicine. So I started to realize, like, oh, I see why, having a lens of being a nutritionist and a chemical engineer and a former athlete that was all about supplements, I totally see why I'm seeing this a little more clearly than someone. And also now that I see my test and I'm not absorbing it, I have a dog in the fight here. About that time, I lose someone close to me, and I watch her health go down and down and down because modern medicine just treated her terribly.
Yeah.
And I realized, so I had this thought. I said, well, she didn't have this issue, and I was starting to develop pretty severe brain fog around this time, and this was really pushing me to do all this testing. So I'm in my mid-20s. She's in her late 60s. It's my mother, and she goes from just vivacious to surgery, medication, more surgery, and then has an aneurysm and passes away. And I remember thinking later on, as time passed, like that I could be okay with this, but ultimately there's obviously a system error here. There was she had medication. Okay, so that whole school of thought didn't work. And it wasn't like she was deathly ill or anything, but if you have just a mineral buildup like calcium buildup
Yeah.
in you'll have an aneurysm much more easily than you would have otherwise. And
Yes.
that literally could have been solved and prevented through mineral balancing. So it's a longevity approach. It's an anti-aging approach. You feel stiff, Jimmy, when you have too much, let's just say calcium, from your body, which a lot of people listening to this most likely have been over supplementing vitamin D and
Yeah.
causing imbalances. When we hyperdose things, whether it's vitamin C, vitamin D, anything, there's a ripple effect throughout the body. Of course, right? I mean, if you throw a huge, a meteor into a lake, what happens? And when you're doing 5,000 grams of vitamin C every day, you're going to start to push out minerals like copper. And now you have a bacterial infection. So,
Keto can be hard. Tabulating, measuring, baking, taking 3 months to perfect one recipe, and to mixed reviews.
Did something die in here? Oh, I think it moved.
And by that point, you give up your diet, find a dark corner, and stuff yourself with sugar, carbs, and regret.
This, isn't what it looks like.
Well, this is where Keto Chow saves the day. The easiest, tastiest, ketoist meal replacement on the market.
It's like ice cream melted in my mouth.
Yes, but melted ice cream with all the protein, nutrients, vitamins, and electrolytes your body needs.
Oh, that's cool.
And with 3 starter kits, each with restaurant tips, keto food guides, and a ton of flavors to try, your taste buds and your waistline will thank you.
Thank you.
So grab your starter kit today at jimmylovesketochow.com.
It's so easy.
Keto Chow. Make keto easy.
yeah.
And there's a trade-off there. I mean, a lot of people have been trying to boost their immunity because of all the craziness in the world the last couple of years. And so, including yours truly, I've done the vitamin D3K2 supplement almost prophylactically since the very beginning of all this. And so I know about, the kind of calcium issue. And so I've kind of tried to keep an eye on that. But look, it's kind of which do you want? Do you want the immune boosting effects that come from boosting your vitamin D with K2, or are you going to be concerned about the calcium being deposited somewhere you don't want it to be? Like, there has to be some kind of a trade-off for people. How do you find that middle ground so you get the benefits of both worlds?
Absolutely. It's a really good question. So what I have people do is I have them take a few different things with that. So you have vitamin D, which is really a hormone, right? And
Yes.
then you have K2. So you're taking those two together. That's great. But then you have magnesium to block the to balance the over absorption of calcium. So there you go, upgrade magnesium. You can do at least a few drops or maybe a dropper full of that with this, and then take B6 to help the utilization of magnesium. And from there, you can take boron to help the utilization of vitamin D. So is there a lot there? Yeah, for sure. But boron's super cool in that, and probably in the next couple of weeks, we'll have upgraded boron ready too. So it's one of my favorite supplements because it's a brain supplement, and it's also particularly important for healthy testosterone levels in men, reducing sex binding globulin, which is always a mouthful. So yeah.
So part of the issue, talking to lay people, that's my people who listen to my podcast and watch me on Instagram, it seems overwhelming. Well, if I have this, I need to add this, and then a little bit of this, and a little bit of that. How do you streamline it so people don't have their heads spinning going, how am I ever going to remember that I need this much of this much of that? Is there, there's multivitamins. Are there multi-minerals that you can get them kind of all in one swell boop? Or what?
Totally. So so I have two approaches there that I do, and one is ideology that we've trademarked, which is the phrase "test, don't guess."
Yes.
Truly, if you're just, I mean, and I've done a hair analysis for people like Ben Greenfield and reviewed that on his podcast. There's always something to optimize, no matter who you are. And it could just be that you're over supplementing something, or that you have a heavy metal from years ago.
Yes.
It's now becoming visible because now you're healthier. So, newsflash, we all have some heavy metals that we could be detoxing, all of us for sure. And minerals help push that out. So I'm actually more in favor by a huge margin of using mineral therapy to push out heavy metals, because that is chemically how the universe works. There is things like selenium and zinc that help push out mercury, silica that works with aluminum. People are gonna have to re-listen to this like 5 times for sure, but we're just like going through a lot really quick, and that's awesome. You can find more like this on our YouTube at Upgraded Formulas. But the thing that I guess that I want people to understand is that anytime you try to jolt the body in any sort of way, the body's not going to respond to that very well. So like forcing an IV with with chelation therapy in, that's a way to do it. It's just not a good way to do it. And you just see, it's super expensive and time consuming, to the point that just on the time consuming part, Jimmy, I personally would not do that. And I value my time way too much to go drive across town.
Yeah, well, it's more than that. It's more than that. Like the place I went to with the family member who did the chelation therapy, we had to go down to Hilton Head Island, which is like several hours, 4 or 5 hours for us in South Carolina. That was the closest one that would do chelation. And then we had to stay a week in a very expensive, it's a resort town. So we had to stay in this hotel that was $300-400 a night. And then we had to go to the clinic, which didn't take any insurance. You had to pay out of pocket. And it was, I don't even remember, but it was well over $1,000 every time you did the therapy. And you had to come like 4 or 5 times that week. So you couldn't go home and then drive back. No. And so, yeah, by the time it was over, we're almost, thousands of dollars in the hole from all this, all in the hopes and dreams that, okay, now what? Now, is she okay now? Is this going to be all right? And you just don't know. And yeah, that's part of the challenge of anything regarding health is what's the best bang for your buck? Like, can we open up detoxification pathways? And it sounds to me what you're saying here is, yes, that's what minerals do. They kind of help that body. And then I go in an infrared sauna and stand in front of red light and ground backyard and meditate. And that also kind of helps make the body work. But it still needs those minerals to make the magic happen for the body to heal itself.
Absolutely. So grounding, red light, infrared, near infrared, coffee enemas. If you do all these, you go on walks, you break a sweat every day.
Right before we came on the air, I did and it's very cold here in South Carolina. I did a ice, or I guess cold shower. It felt like ice coming out of there because it was so cold for like 15 minutes. I just basically let it hit my brain. I like letting it hit my brain. And then, of course, the front part of my body where I'm trying to burn and mobilize brown fat. So, yeah. And so I'm just like, I'm so zen right now, dudes.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, that collar region of the neck, so much brown fat, front and back, is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. The other, to go back to your question there for people, how else can you simplify this, right? Well, we've codified it by taking a hair analysis, making it really just easy to use, I guess you could say, like videos, a nice kit that we ship all around the world so that people understand the map. Then they don't really understand it until they do a consultation. That's why we offer those too. And then at that point, we need minerals that really work. So that's what I use my chemical engineering background to focus on for the last 8 years. And then the company's been around for the last 6, is products like the ones Jimmy just showed here. if you guys caught that. So using nanotechnology to make the particle size small enough to get into the red blood cell without needing to be digested through our normal stomach sort of digestive process, so that if you picture your yard from childhood and you picture a basketball or a beach ball in the yard, that ball fits in the yard really easily. And that's what we want to do with these mineral particles into the blood cell, versus taking the yard and trying to put the yard inside the ball, which is really what we're trying to do with normal mineral particles. They're many times larger than a red blood cell, so of course they have to be digested. So at that point, we get about 20% or less absorbed, and that's food as well. About 20 to 30% of the nutrients that are actually present in our food get into our red blood cells, and then those distribute throughout our body and power our organs. So yeah, I mean, I look at most of the world's inefficiencies from an engineering standpoint as a delivery, as an inefficiency, as sort of problem to solve. So it doesn't matter if it's transportation around the city, which you could think of as, that loop around your city. Maybe you have multiple loops, similar to how your blood circulates throughout your body, how nutrients get dropped off and delivered, how toxins get redistributed if you're not going to the bathroom often enough. I mean, we talk about detox, but people that don't poop often enough and don't drink enough water, they're reabsorbing toxin. I mean, you can do all the other things. You can pay a lot of money for really expensive binders. You can do our hair testing, our minerals, and if you're backed up because you probably aren't backed up if you don't have a magnesium deficiency. The chances of you you probably have a magnesium deficiency, but the chances of you not going to the bathroom regularly are really low. It's just those things just always go together. So there's just so much that this covers, and when it comes to bang for the buck, because the world's elemental, this is the place I love to start people. I myself do other testing too, but I always do this test, and I do it every 60 to 90 days because it gives me the map.
Yes. It gives you the map of where you are at the moment, but also where you're headed, especially when you look at those tests cumulatively over time. Okay, I was low in boron the last time and magnesium. I've tried to shore that up. Let's see where I am now in that process. Okay, now I'm a little closer to sufficiency, so it means my thing is going well and everything. Maybe you had a stressful moment. Maybe you had other things that drained you of minerals at any given moment. You wouldn't know that unless you tested. So I love your trademarked, say the slogan one more time.
Test, don't guess.
Test, don't guess. I like that. That's really good. Very catchy, very memorable. So one of the things that you sent to me as a topic idea, and I thought, okay, yeah, that's really good, and I want to kind of focus in on that, is all these people take these vitamins, and even when you get them from your food, if you're not getting adequate minerals with those vitamins, your body can't absorb them, your body can't do with them, and I suppose they just get excreted out because they'll get a little bit of the benefit, but not the full benefit. Make the argument for why people who are currently taking vitamins should be taking as much of an interest in their minerals as well.
Yeah. So think of it, maybe picture your spine and how all the way down the spine you have these vertebrae. And if all those vertebrae were little binding sites where minerals were needed to activate a pathway that you couldn't see, that is what minerals are doing. And then at that point, vitamins are able to really work because they're activated. And that the example there is boron and magnesium with vitamin D, which is so important. So we've seen vitamin D sales go just crazy.
Yes.
And the thing that concerns me about that is that people aren't buying an equal amount of magnesium because the calcium channel in the brain stays open too long when you have a lot of vitamin D. That hormone causes, it's just the chemistry of how cells work, just like the potential. So yeah, it's really, I mean, can it lead to cell death in the brain? Yes, it can. So magnesium is the most important thing to be adding to your vitamin D stack, even more than K2, because K2, I mean, you need that for utilization, but you need magnesium for just protection. So I'd rather it just not even work as well, but be safe versus like have a chance of working well but being dangerous.
So Barton, what I have never seen in any supplement that I've ever seen, and I've seen them all over the years, just as you have, I've never seen a vitamin D3, K2, magnesium, boron supplement.
Never.
Why?
I just haven't made one yet, I guess.
Okay.
There's not ending.
If what you're sharing here today is true, and I believe you, I think it is true. It seems to me that would be truly, to use the name of your company, that would truly be upgraded version of vitamin D. I guess the problem is it depends on the deficiency in the person. And so if they're really deficient in boron, maybe they need a little more, or magnesium, maybe they need a little more. Whereas if you're more sufficient, maybe you don't need as much. Like, I guess that would be the trick. But yeah, it seems to me it would be interesting to see that formulation that would be tailored to who you are. Functional medicine doctor could almost, like, you know, that we have these pharmacies, that the compounding pharmacies, we could have a compounding vitamin company that could just customize for your profile based on your hair analysis and all the other tests that you have run. This is the formulation that's going to work for you.
Yeah. So, and we essentially do that. If someone needs boron, we recommend it pretty much. And then we take all of our supplements and we tell people the dosage. So, Jimmy, you might need 1 dose a day of say magnesium or potassium. Someone else might need 8, and it's not forever. For like 90 days, retest and then see your values again. I'm happy to put out a formula like that. I've been thinking about it for a while. There's several other formulas we're working on right now, like mood. Our mood formula is going to be amazing. We have a cramp formula for both men and women, but it really helps with things like painful period cramps, but also just like leg cramps, or, you know, quote unquote restless leg is what the pharmaceutical industry has called it. But really, what is that? It's a magnesium deficiency. We think it's potassium, but it's actually magnesium because the muscles can't relax. And you need that. So yeah, it's thanks for that nudge. I'll definitely think about it. I know it can be, I know we can do it. So yeah.
It just seems elementary to me, if what you're saying is true, the vitamins, and in this case, the vitamin D is a hormone, can't work the way they need to work unless you have sufficiency in magnesium and boron. Why wouldn't you have like this magnesium, boron, K2, D3, just all in one? And I think that would kind of bring peace of mind for a lot of people. And is there concern that if it is too much magnesium or too much boron or whatever, that it would just get excreted out, any excess, right?
Right. That's the thing I love about minerals, is that for the most part, they're pretty water soluble. Calcium tends to stick in the body a little worse. The thing with boron is it's one of the most common deficiencies. Like over 90% of people have a boron deficiency, which is not surprising when you look at what foods it's in. You know, it's in very few foods. So, and even if it's supposed to be in certain foods, you can never bank on it because you don't know. It's like mother-daughter or mother-child relationship with soil and food, right? So you never know truly if it's in there versus us third-party testing every single batch for potency and purity, or otherwise it doesn't ship. So like, I do that. We don't have to do that, but I take all our supplements every day. So, yeah, I mean, this is at least one way to do it. It is the most, like, I think, cost-effective, logical way to approach it. And then you can still look at your body and look at other tests like organic acids and things like that.
Tired of playing the mask game? Me too. That's why I wanted to tell you about the Unmask. This is a breathable, completely breathable. It covers, you can't even see that it's breathable, but it's breathable. Whether you're going on a plane, having to go into a store and wearing this thing, playthemaskgame.com is how you can get this mask. They come in all kinds of colors and everything. In fact, right there, you can see right through it what it is, but when you're wearing it, it does not look like it's anything different, but it's breathable, baby. Playthemaskgame.com. I just had my oats test run, and I had some neurotransmitter issues with kind of my gut not getting the signaling to the brain, but they're like, you're not unhappy. You're supposed to be down and depressed with your neurotransmitters not working right. I'm like, it must be the ketosis like offsetting it. I don't know, but
yeah, I think so. Yeah, I remember seeing some pretty high numbers for myself there too in that area, in terms of ketones. And I see we have a question here: how much vitamin D and magnesium for primary hyperparathyroid patients with MS? So we actually have a view into both thyroid and parathyroid on the hair analysis. We look at calcium and potassium. Our nutritionists can talk to you about that. If you're just joining, there's something we've trademarked, which is test, don't guess, which is my answer to all of this. Quite literally 90% of the questions fall into that category. Well, what about this? It's like, well, you could tell me that you're a woman, you're 43, you've had 4 kids. All of that would not be specific enough. I need to know what your tissue looks like from the last 2 months. And the only way to do that is hair, which it grows at the same rate. We think of skin as an organ, which I think is kind of weird to say, frankly. I've always thought that was weird. But if you're going to, then hair is also an organ.
Yes.
And fingernails are also an organ. It's tissue. Skin is tissue. So we're looking at tissue because we're not biopsying your liver or your gallbladder. That would be a little invasive. So yeah, that's my answer to that one.
So earlier you talked about, I think it was boron, like 90% of people are deficient in it. Something else 90% of people are deficient in is zinc, which you've got a version of zinc in a tincture. So, and that affects a lot of things as well, like digestion, because stomach acid production needs zinc. And like 90% of the people walking around out there weigh zinc deficient. And so why are all these deficiencies there? Is it just because food is inadequate and then they're oblivious to needing these things?
That's a great question. So I think if you really meditate on this personally, as you're listening to this, it's different for all of us. But what I can say is that we have in common is we're often stressed. We're often, even if it's positive stress, we like get that coffee and then we're like just shaking, ready to go, do the emails and stuff. Or we're overtraining at the gym. I mean, too much exercise or not enough. They're both stressors on the body, right? So over-exercising can lead to depletion. Not moving enough usually leads to stress, which is also going to increase cortisol and increase, just your loss of minerals, the rate at which you're losing minerals, and then environment. So if you've ever sat in traffic and noticed that you're smelling fumes, what are in those fumes you have quite a number of different heavy metals, which are the most toxic. I know we talk a lot about plastics and microplastics lately. Those are important. Estrogens, xenoestrogens, things like that from birth control that are getting peed into our water supply and not filtered out properly, which is why I have a certain sort of like water protocol that I go through. But and to eliminate all that, and the other thing that you see is things like in traffic, you see like cadmium coming off of brake dust, and you go like, you don't see it, but it shows up in people's hair analysis. You see aluminum because people are drinking out of aluminum cans. Unfortunately, some people they still haven't got the message about aluminum and deodorant, which I don't know how that's possible at this point, frankly. But hey, if this is the first time you're hearing it, no worries. Just stop right now, go to your bathroom, throw all that junk away. Don't even give it away. That wouldn't be nice. Like throw it away and then buy things that you can pronounce. If you put it on your skin, it's going to end up in your body. Like yeah, it's not good for you.
Earlier, you mentioned about aluminum. I actually got toxic levels of aluminum like 5 times what it was supposed to be. And it turns out it was my underarm deodorant. And I was oblivious to aluminum being in the underarm deodorant. This was long before I was really healthy. It was around the paleo movement time, about just over a decade ago, that they started talking, oh, you may have aluminum toxicity from your underarm deodorant. I was like, what are you talking about? And I start looking at the degree, I think it was Degree for Men I had at the time, and I'm going, holy crap, look at all the junk they had in there. So I switched over to more of like coconut oil and baking soda and different ones. I finally found a good brand that I like, but it was many years of trying to figure it out. And that's just something people don't even think about. I'm absorbing what I on my body. I hope by now, guys, if you follow my work, everything you put on your skin is getting inside your body. And that's why it's not just the food. You've got to be mindful of all the things in your lifestyle.
Right. Water, cosmetics for women, just huge. And there's some, you can find cleaner brands of anything that you want. So,
but
please
search. Yeah. But you do have to search for them, Barton. That's the problem. And there's kind of cheapo knockoffs of good quality. The unfortunate things about this is, guys, it's not going to be the same price as that Degree or that Secret that you buy. You're going to have to pay a little more, but look at the trade-off. You're not going to have to deal with health issues down the line because you're buying a better brand now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're reducing your toxic burden. So, it's like imagining yourself having to climb a mountain each day, and then, hey, let's take off some of the things that you don't have to carry with you on that journey each day, or each week, each year, and because they accumulate, and as we get older, it's harder and harder to detox anything. Efficiency goes down as entropy goes up, and we age. So what does that mean? It's a lot like that tree planting metaphor, which is, when's the best time to plant a tree? Well, last year, yesterday. When's the next time best? Well, it's today, obviously. So get started now. It's important. It's paramount. Yeah.
So Barton, somebody was asking, how do you know what's too low? How do you get tested? Do you have a website where people can order these tests from you? And do you do it all over the nation, around the world? How does that work?
Yeah, around the world, the tests get ordered on upgradedformulas.com, and they ship out to anyone. I've already signed off on them as a nutritionist, so that is good. And you can sit through the consultation yourself. You can invite your naturopathic doctor to sit in a consultation for you or with you. One of our nutritionists will do that. We also have a link to get certified in hair mineral analysis, because so few people understand it and they kind of shy away from it. And one of my goals is to change healthcare through having testing that's really actionable like this, that points us in the direction of reversing the deficiency so that we can actually reverse the disease. So yeah, there you go. That's what you need right there. That's the best starting place.
So somebody wanted to know, because you spoke really fast. I'm a Southern boy, so I talk a little slower, but the website is upgradedformulas.com if you were looking for that. But yeah, hair mineral analysis there.
Thank you.
And then all are also there.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for showing them that. That's so key. And yeah, we had a box for a while. It ships out as an envelope now. It's just a little more eco-friendly to do it that way. So yeah.
And earlier you mentioned your YouTube channel. Go look up Upgraded Formulas YouTube channel. Lots of nice videos there, which kind of continues a lot of the same conversations we're doing here today. And of course, you've got all your supplements there as well, upgradedformulas.com, but all the supplements, some of the ones I was showing you guys in person, the magnesium one. This is the one I started taking because you gave this to me at the Biohacking Congress. This one looked really interesting to me, talking about that nano technology you were talking about earlier, for brain health, and potassium. Potassium's always a hard one in the mainstream because it's like they don't nearly give you enough. And then is it quality, and are you absorbing it? It's so many issues. There's the zinc we talked about. Peak thyroid's got a variety of selenium, copper, zinc, iodine. What else? Upgraded iodine. You've got a straight up iodine. So don't play around with these things, guys, because like if you take iodine willy-nilly and you don't really need it, that might cause other issues. So work with somebody like Barton. Definitely reach out. I'm sure he and his staff would love to help you out. Again, go check them out, upgradedformulas.com. And here on Instagram, go check him out, Ask Barton. You can follow him there. There's a little link to all the URLs that he is associated with. I guess one last thing before we get out of here.
Sure.
How do people avoid mineral deficiency? It seems elementary. Get sufficient in the ones you're deficient in that the hair analysis shows, but like there's going to be ebbs and flows of it because more stress, because maybe you lapse in something that you thought you were sufficient in. So how do you kind of keep that balance there?
Well, I'll tell you what I do and what we recommend to our nutritionists. So what I do is I eat a lot of regenerative beef.
Yes.
And nutrient dense, really good, eggs and things like that. And plenty of, if you eat vegetables, everything I've said or seen is like have them cooked. So they kill some of the plant defenses, those compounds. And diet aside, if you don't agree with any of those things I said, you have to ultimately understand that any diet comes down to the nutrients in the food and what you absorb, period, right? So what is that? Fats, minerals, amino acids, really, proteins. So when you're, I've eaten low carb and I've done intermittent fasting. I do intermittent fasting most days, but beyond that, you really need to eat high density foods. You need to have clean water. You need to be mindful of where all your food sources are coming from, organic or biodynamic, regenerative. All these things are important. And then still figure out where your deficiencies are for you personally. They're going to be different for you, your wife, your brother, your sister, etc. Everyone even if you're eating a similar diet, even if you're living together and eating all the same food, because you didn't have the same starting place. And even as a kid, we've done hair analyses on infants that have just enough hair to test, and they're crying all the time. Well, they stop crying, Jimmy, whenever we get rid of the heavy metal. They had cadmium pushed off or copper toxicity, which you need some copper.
You experienced the dreaded keto flu? Did you know that most of these symptoms are actually due to your body dumping excess electrolytes? This is where Element comes in. Element is a tasty electrolyte drink mix with everything you need and nothing you don't. That means lots of salt with no sugar. Element is formulated to help anyone with their electrolyte needs and is perfectly suited to folks following a keto, low carb, or paleo diet. Element contains a science-backed electrolyte ratio, 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium, with none of the junk, no sugar, no coloring, no artificial ingredients, no gluten, no fillers, no BS. Everyone needs electrolytes, especially those on low-carb diets, or if you practice intermittent or extended fasting, if you're physically active, or sweat a lot. Add Element today and see how much better you feel and perform. Use the URL drinklmnt.com/Jimmy.